Hi guys, I am Prabath from Calcey Technologies. Today I am going to show you how to power up your Python script which was written for ETL jobs using AWS Glue. Let's dive into the AWS Glue console. This is the AWS Glue console. There are several sections for databases, crawlers and settings, so on. So if you are good at Python programming, you can directly dive into the job section. Let's create a new job. In here you have to provide a name for your job. I'll name it as Glue Tutorial. Then you have to assign IAM role for your job. So in order to do that, you have to go to IAM console of AWS, then head into role section. In here you can create new roles. They are asking for which service you are going to create this role for. I'll select Glue. In here you have to provide permissions for your role. Primarily when you are using AWS Glue, you have to provide AWS Glue service role. In this example, what I am going to do is fetch data from MySQL database and store them back in S3 storage. So I am giving full access to S3 storage. I'm not going to provide any tags. Then I'll name my role as AWS Glue Tut. Let's create our role. Let's head back to job creation part. Just refresh to update with newly created roles. You can see the newly created role AWS Glue Tut. I'll select that. And my script is running on Spark context, so I keep Spark selected. And I am going to use Python for that, so I'll keep Python selected. Then we are going to write a custom Python script. For that, I'll select a new script to be authorized by me. So you can provide a script file name. I'll keep this as it is. Let's go to next page. In here they are trying to add connections to our script. That means they are trying to make our workflow easy. So let's write the script from the scratch, so we don't need to do anything here. Save your job and edit script. From here onwards you can write the start writing the Python script here. Instead of writing the Python script on AWS Glue console, I have set up my IDE. I have created the file for writing my script Python file, and I have included AWS Glue Python libraries, which was downloaded from AWS Labs, their repository. First of all, we have to take the running Glue context into our Python script. For that, I am importing Glue context using AWS Glue context, and I'm importing Glue context. So in order to create the instance of Glue context, I have to access the Spark context, which is the job is running. So using PySpark context, I am importing Spark context. Next I am creating a variable for my glue context. Then using the glue context constructor, I'm going to create a glue context. When we are creating glue context, we have to pass the Spark context. So I am using the Spark context which I was imported. If the context is not there, we are using get or create method. If it is exist, they are getting the existing context, otherwise create a new context. Then we are going to create an instance of our job. For that I am using AWS glue job, import job. Then I'll create a variable for that glue job. The constructor asks for the glue context, so I'll pass the glue context which we were initialized. Next we can initiate our job. So I am going to initialize my job. When we are going to initialize our job, we have to provide the job name. In order to access the job name, in their documentation they have provided a way to access that. Let me show you. This documentation explains about how to access the parameters like job name. So let's import those statements. So I'll create a variable for arguments, and using the get result options, I am passing the system argument values variable and request the job name. Then this args variable contains array of argument values, so I can pass the job name here, and optionally I can pass the existing arguments too. So this is it. Now we can modify anything in middle of this script, and finally we have to commit our glue job to update the job. Before committing everything, we have to write all the transformations, extractions for our ETL process. Next part is extraction of data from the SQL database. So for this example, I am using JDBC interface of my SQL database to extract the data. So our job is running on Spark context, so we can use Spark to fetch a large amount of data. If you go through the Spark documentation, you can find out ways to extract the data from a SQL database. So we are going to use this implementation. In order to do that, we need the Spark session which was our job is running. So let's take it. I'll create a variable for that Spark session. Then from the running glue context, I'm taking out the Spark session. Then I'll create a Spark data frame to store our data. Then we are going to use Spark session read method to read data from external JDBC resources. Then I have to provide a format. We are using JDBC. As the documentation explains, you have to pass the variables using options. So I'll pass all the variables which was relevant to make connection with the database. I'll break into new lines for the clearness of the code. The TB table defines which table we are trying to fetch data from. My table name is users. Then for the authentication, I have to provide the username. Then I'll provide the username for authentication and the password, simple one. So finally we have to attach the load function, which loads all the data into users Spark data frame. When we are using JDBC interfaces, we have to provide the driver, which Java driver we are using to fetch data from. So head back to S3 console. As a dependency, I am uploading the Java connector Java file. So upload is completed. So what I am going to do is provide this Java lib file as a dependency for my script. So I'll copy the path, heading back to AWS Glue console, save the job. There's nothing there, but go to edit job, open the security configurations and paste the dependent jars path, which was we have uploaded the jar file, and save it. Now when the runtime, the glue is able to inject the Java dependency into this Python environment. So I'll provide the now I am going to provide the driver which we are going to use to fetch data using JDBC driver. Now everything is set. What it does is, using the Spark session, it's reading through the JDBC interface. This is the URL for the database, and this is the driver we are using. and this is the table we are accessing, and this is the credentials to authenticate into database. So for the debug purposes, let's print a line how much users we were able to fetch or extracted from the Spark users data frame. So I'll copy the script into AWS Glue console, and we are going to run our job. Make sure to save your job before running it. Let's run the job. For the verification, let's check whether our dependency is there. It's there. Let's run the job. Looks like job is successfully completed its running status. Let's check the logs. For debug purposes, we have added a print statement. Let's search for it throughout the logs. As you can see, our data frame was able to fetch 2000 records. Let's jump into SQL workbench and check whether how many user records are there. There are 2000 user records. That means all the user records are fetched successfully. So the next part is writing the extracted data back to S3 storage. For that, you cannot directly write the Spark data frames into S3 storage. In order to do that, you have to convert the Spark data frames into dynamic data frames. So let's begin coding it. From AWS Glue, I'm importing dynamic data frame. Then I'm going to do here is convert Spark data frame into dynamic data frame. I'll create a variable for that, users dynamic data frame. So using the dynamic data frame import, I am taking the function called from df. We have to pass 3 parameters into this. The first one is the data frame, which is the Spark data frame. The next one is the glue context, which we were storing in a variable. The final one is the name for the transformation context. So I'll give convert context. So giving this code, this statement will provide us the conversion of the data frame types. So now we can directly write the data into S3 storage. You can write the data directly into S3 storage using the glue context. We are using write dynamic data frame function, and we are passing option to customize our writing process. The first variable is frame, which was a dynamic data frame. Next one is the connection type. Because we are writing data into S3, I am providing connection type as S3. Next, we need to provide connection options. As an option, I am providing the path to S3 bucket where I am going to write the data. Next, I am giving the format which we are going to write the data as. I am providing Parquet format. You can use supported format like CSV, JSON. Then I am providing a name for transformation context. You can provide any name here. Okay, this statement will write the data back to S3 storage using the data frame we have provided here. The frame should be a dynamic data frame. Let's copy the code into AWS Glue console and run the job again. Make sure to save it before running the job. Let's run it. Job was executed successfully. Let's head into S3 bucket and check whether extracted data is there. The MySQL folder is created. All the data has been extracted right into a Parquet file. That means the load part is done. You can use the same script for your ETL jobs. The scaffolding is same, but the ETL process may be complex according to your scenario. I think this will be helpful for your custom Python script in future. If you are writing ETL jobs using Python or Scala. Thank you guys.